Here we have a new 2023 Nissan Versa. This one comes in the SV trim level in gun metallic. And then we have graphite cloth interior. Our powertrain consists of a 1.6 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, made it to a continuously variable transmission. And as we come around to the front end here, similar styling to the Sentra. We do have halogen headlamps, but overall, the design of the front is pretty nice for it to be a almost 20 grand car. And then here we had the 16-inch aluminum wheels. So I'm gonna top this for later. And then going to the door panel here, we do get one touch automatic up and down window for the driver's side and regular power windows for the other 3 doors. Rear window lock is here, power door lock controls. We can pick a side for the mirror, and then we can adjust using this little dial here. Good size bottle holder there, a little storage in the side pocket, storage pocket here. And then here we have our 6-way manual driver's seat. I like the color though. And I have that seat up front adjusted for someone of my size, being 6'3" with longer legs. Well, let's go ahead and check out this leg room. So I just did an SR because I was wanting to compare the SV to the SR in terms of just features, but legroom is the same. My head, or I say my hair, is running across the headliner here, but it's okay. If you had a shorter person driving and a little shorter person back here, you won't have an issue. But we have a side or a rear seat pocket on the front passenger side, and then we have a USB-C charge port down there. Take a look at everything. And then grab bars on both sides. And the child lock is on. So please excuse me, I need to take this down anyway. This is awkward. And then we'll just pull this. And then your child lock is going to be right here. And you can control that there. Now for fuel, your fuel cap is here. This will take regular, no problem. And then let's check out this trunk space, which is pretty great for this size of a vehicle. You have plenty of space back here. And then this one has the cargo net as well. And then your spare, if I can get to it, it's gonna be right underneath there. But the cargo net, what it uses, is kind of in the way. And then we also have drop down hangers if you ever want to hang your grocery bags up. And there's a look at the back there. Exhaust there underneath the car. And we do have the rear parking sensors there. Now, if you want to fold these seats flat, I'm going to show the left side because I showed the right side last time, but the seat belt's in the way, I think. There we go. So that's your space, and you can run longer objects from the back all the way to the front if you need to, and pretty easy to just fold it back into place and it'll lock up. But I want to give a huge shout out to John Roberts Nissan for allowing me to review this car today. There's a 4-way manual seat here, and they have a pretty nice selection right now. The owner's manual's here, and a nice size glove box for this kind of car. And there's that 1.6 liter 4-cylinder. Nothing crazy or fancy going on there. Gets the job done. Now we'll take a quick look at this window sticker. So only $20,755, but the SR that I reviewed, that's what I would get. Honestly, if I could buy a car again, I probably would, because it's just so inexpensive and you get so much with it. But this one's still pretty cheap. It's cheaper than that one, but I feel like you don't get as much. But I'll let you all decide that, see if it's worth it. So vinyl wrap steering wheel here, got that hard plastic, flat bottom design. Nothing fancy going on there. And then compared to the SR I just reviewed, this is a 7-inch screen. I think that was an 8 or 9-inch screen. I think it was an 8-inch screen. But this one, Not as fancy, but pretty much does the same thing. You get AM, FM. You don't get XM radio, but you get an aux input, Bluetooth audio, and you also have wired Apple CarPlay, wired Android Auto compatibility. And all of your settings are going to be here. Connection's pretty easy to just set that up. It'll pull up the Bluetooth and you can just connect your phone. Nothing crazy going on there. And then you have the display, which you can turn on and off there. Your brightness you can adjust here. And then once you actually pull it up, you can adjust it. I think you can. Here. All right, you gotta use that. So use the scroll knob to adjust the brightness. I did it earlier in that other one, but it might just be how the screen set up. And then to get to your audio, you can just hit audio. And then you could pull or press any button down below to get to your different sources. Then you can hit that to mute. And then you can use this to go through your radio stations. And then you hit this and you can adjust your bass. Let me turn that brightness back up. So you can see I'm adjusting the bass with the scroll knob here. Backup camera there, no guidelines that follow you as you turn the steering wheel. And down below here we get single zone manual climate controls. You can adjust your fan direction here as you turn. And then AC toggle here, fan speed here, and temperatures here. And everything else pretty self-explanatory. Rear defrost, circulation, all that. Now down here we get a 12 volt. And then we have an aux input and a USB-A port there to run your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. But I do like that we have the wireless charging pad, even in this SV. And then your shifter here, pull the lever, reverse, neutral, drive, low gear. And then in drive, you can toggle your sport mode with this button here. Cup holders, electronic emergency brake, excuse me. And then we have storage pocket in here, which is not the best, but pretty deep. And then you do get a USB-C charge port right here. And then dome lights here, you can set those on, door, or off. And you can pick a side here. It's pretty self-explanatory. There's a view of the back seat from up here. And then let me just point out this dash. I love the color scheme in here. They did that dark blue with the black, or the gray, whatever you want to call it. And that just looks really good going across the dash there. Now to the left side of the steering wheel, we can use these 4 arrows and this OK button to go through that digital part of the gauge cluster on the left side. And pretty easy to go through. And then volume controls are over here, track list or radio station presets. You can toggle here, back button for that gauge cluster, and then you have your cruise controls here. And you can go through all that, and then Bluetooth, voice recognition. Blinkers are here. And then high beams are there, flasher high beams here, and then you have off, corners, on, and then your auto mode there for your headlights. And then windshield wiper controls, one time, intermittent, low, high. You can adjust your intermittent here. And then push button start. And finally, here's our key fob. And one more thing I wanted to point out, hazards right there. But next it's time to go ahead and take this Versa SV out on the road for a quick test drive. So I just drove a Versa SR. I wanted to drive these back to back and review them just to go over the differences in features. Drivability is going to be identical, but you have a sport mode here, and I showed that earlier. So in sport mode here, I feel like you really don't get that much of a power difference, and I really just don't like the strain sound that you get under hard acceleration. So I probably would never use the sport mode. It's just easier to put my foot down and accelerate when I need to. So the normal drive for me is better, and then when you're done putting your foot to the floor, it's not still revving high. But it's there if you like doing that for whatever reason. I just don't feel a big enough difference in power to justify it. I will say though, in the normal mode, this gets up rather quickly, and it's because the CVT is so smart. You don't have to worry about shift points or anything. So put my foot down, and then my foot's still the same position, slowly let off, and it just gets to that more economical, I guess, rev point there for the CVT. But I said earlier that I wanted to compare this to the SR, and I feel like the SR is one of the best bargains out, because I think this one's stickered at $20,755, and the one that I just did a review on, the SR, was less than 22 grand. And even if it was 25 grand, I still go with the SR, because you get so much more. You get LED headlamps, you get the intelligent cruise, just a more upscale feeling and looking cabin overall, as in terms of how the radio stacked up and everything. But for people who, a lot of buyers in this segment, they'd give up all of those features to save an extra $20 a month in payment, and that's what this car here is going to be for. If you can't see yourself paying over $400, even if it's $415 for much more, you rather pay $399.99, then you'll get this SV, because it pretty much does everything in terms of just everyday usability that the SR does. And specifically, if you're on a fixed income or something like that, you don't care about all that extra stuff that you didn't grow up with or whatever. You just want what you need. You need transportation that gets good gas mileage and is easy to connect to Bluetooth. Like my granny, she's one of those people who would not spend a dime more than what she wants to spend, even if it was the difference between her having cloth and leather or sunroof. She'd be like, no, I'm not paying $399, or I'm not paying $400.01. I'm not paying any more than $400, and that would be her. So like I said, if you're one of those people, this will pretty much be the deciding factor between this and an SR, in my opinion, because again, you get so much more with the SR. And you get, like, it's a lot. So the leather wrap steering wheels in the SR, the updated infotainment, heated seats, automatic climate controls. But again, if you don't care about that, it doesn't really matter. But enough about comparing the trim levels. Ride here is pretty nice, and it's gonna be a little better, I think, just because the SR has 17s, this SV has 16s, and I can feel a pretty big difference in terms of the ride quality. Again, it's not necessarily smooth, but it's a good solid ride. And again, I just like the drive mode better, just the normal drive, as opposed to the sport mode, because the sport mode just, it feels so strained. But we will go ahead and put our foot into this, not all the way, but pretty far. And I will say, you have to get up there to get this baby going. I wish I'd had the rev or the tachometer up so y'all could see. I'm flying, I need to slow down. But overall, sound acoustics for this kind of vehicle, pretty good. Hearing a little bit of wind noise, but it's a $20,000 car. I can't really expect it to sound like a Mercedes in here. And the radio will pretty much tune all of that out, which the radio, I think you get, or at least you used to be able to get, I thought, an optional Bose sound system or something like that in the highest Versa trim level. Otherwise, somebody like me would upgrade the speakers, maybe put a DSP in there. But for most people, the sound system in this is going to sound like a $20,000 car sound system, and it'll be good enough. Now, I will say, driving, I mean, it's simple enough. I wouldn't race anybody in this or try and cut somebody off, but You do have enough passing power, I think, for 99% of the situations, 100% depending on how you drive. But it does accelerate, it does stop. You can get it back up to speed. It's not like you have to do anything extra. You just might have to put your foot into it, because these are not meant to be fast, these are meant to be efficient. But road noise from the tires is pretty minimal. If I listen for it, I can hear it, but nothing that bothers me. Wind noise, again, you can hear it, but nothing that's gonna bother me because I'm getting a $20,000 car. And again, pretty easy to drive. Nothing special going on here. The steering makes sense. The gas pedal and brake pedal feel good for what kind of vehicle this is. And I like the Versas because they're good on gas and they don't do much anything else. And I mean to say that for most people, this does everything they need. Nothing extra. You don't have several drive modes to choose from. You're not going to need another drive mode. It's efficient. It's easy to drive. It has pretty good room in here. And again, the biggest thing is it's a 20 grand car. And you get what you get for $20,000. So nothing to be disappointed about. And a great option if you're in this segment. But this will bring me to the end of my review of this 2023 Nissan Versa SV.